Hello everyone, how are you doing? Hope you are having great time and great life, and I wish you all the best for your exams and studies, and I hope that you people are enjoying your life. So ACCA F1, ACCA paper F1 accountant and business, and we are in continuation of this course, and we have reached to chapter number 19, and this is lecture number 17, and it's Kokab Manzoor, your friend, your teacher, your guide, and your advisor, and your facilitator as well, right? So I'm here to facilitate you about the subject, so you can discuss, share, and ask anything related to the topic, related to the lecture, right? Okay, so hope you're having great time and you're ready for the lecture. So today's topic is recruitment and selection. Okay, so what we will be discussing in recruitment and selection, we'll explain the topic of the importance of the recruitment, what is the importance of effective recruitment and selection. In fact, first of all, we'll define what is recruitment and selection. Usually these two terms are used interchangeably in our daily conversation, and but there's a difference between these two terms, right? And we'll then explain the process, that how this process takes place, what are the stages, in fact what is the process of effective selection, so that we can have the right candidate for the right job, and then who are involved, roles of those who involved in recruitment, who are going to recruit, what those people do and what they should do basically, and describe the method through which organizations seek to meet their recruitment needs, what are the methods for recruitment, and finally advantages and disadvantages of recruitment. So we'll discuss various types of methods that are used for recruitment and selection, and which one is a better one, or what are the advantages and disadvantages of different methods that are being used for recruitment and selection. Okay, so let's begin. Sorry, some more things that we'll discuss, that is diversity. What is diversity? And equal opportunity employer. You might have heard the word equal opportunity. So what these two terms are and what are their roles in recruitment and selection. Then what are the benefits of being an equal opportunity employer or equal opportunity policy. You might have seen these terms in different advertisements that have been broadcasted or published in newspapers or different medias, that we are an equal opportunity employer. So you may know it, but most of the people might be thinking that what does it mean, equal opportunity. So we'll explain that what this means and how it is going to benefit you, right? Explain the practical steps that an organization make to take the ensure the effectiveness of the diversity and the equal opportunity policy. So what are the effectiveness of its diversity, like if they go for first what diversity is, and if the organization go for diversity, so what will be its effective way so that organization can get benefit of these two, diversity and equal opportunity. So is it beneficial for organization, or if yes, so what are the tips and techniques that will make it as beneficial? This is the roadmap. Oh wow. Don't get confused, it's an easy chapter, just too many things are displayed on this roadmap, so it's not as difficult or as technical as you can see on the screen. The diagram is showing, simply we'll define recruitment, whether it's internal or external, or whether we use the recruitment consultant. Then we have the application forms and recruitment advertisements, and once the application form are there, so what happens then, selection process, testing is taking place, assessment, competency, references, and what the total process, aim and stages, and legislations, rules and responsibilities. So basically two things, recruitment and selection process. This is the recruitment process, and this is the you can say the selection process, and this is just the this is how the selection takes place, and these are the overall procedure, right? What are the aims, legislations and rules and responsibility. So let's begin. Don't get confused, it's very simple and very easy chapter. I'm sure you can easily learn it. In fact I'm thinking that most of the thing that I'm going to explain, you probably will already know those things. If you have ever worked in an office, or if some of your relatives are working, so you may have basic how now that how and what recruitment and selection process are being followed. So it's few technical things that I'll explain, and rest of the things I'm sure you would know all about it, right? So it's very easy, just chill and relax, and so with begin with this mind that you know so many things and it's easy to grab it, right? What is recruitment and selection? Recruitment simply means sorry recruitment simply means that attracting a range of suitable candidate for a given role within an organization. Means whenever organization is planning to hire someone or some people for their organization, so the process in which they just attract the number of people, that is called as recruitment, not selection, right? Just attraction of the people. Like for example, an organization need a person, a finance manager for their organization. So right from the beginning till they get the applications, and let's suppose they advertise, they make the job description, and then they advertise on the newspaper or internet or whatever, and then they receive applications. Let's suppose they receive 100 applications. Now up till this, the entire process and the entire procedure whatever they have done is called as recruitment. That is the part of recruitment. So it is the process of contacting the labor market, means inside and outside, communicating the opportunities, like we are having this job, it requires such and such kind of person who is having such and such kind of skill and expertise, and information, and generating the interest of the people so that they may apply. So right from you can say deciding about the job and announcing the job till receiving the application is the is covered under the heading of recruitment. Once the applications are received, then the process starts, is called as selection. We shortlist some of the applications, then we make a call for their test or interviews. And if there are tests, so first tests are conducted, then furthermore shortlisting takes place, and few people are dropped, and then few are selected, then they are called for interview, and then the interview takes place, and finally after medical test if it is required, or any other physical test, and then the people are selected. So right from application, right after from the application, once we receive the applications, and what happened after that till the selection of the person is called as selection. It's the process. So it is a process aimed at choosing the most suitable candidate for a specified position. So out of 100 application, the application we received, and we are going to select only 2 people, so from 100 to till 2, whatever we do, means shortlisting, testing, different types of tests and interviews, and finally we have the person. This entire process is called as selection. So recruitment means attracting the people, and selection means selecting the right candidate for the organization. Hope the concept is clear. Why is it important? Obviously it is important. If we are going to select the right person for the right job, obviously it has a very good impact. But if in any case we are unable to find a suitable person, and we hire a unsuitable person is hired, means the wrong person is hired because of any reason, maybe because of problem in the system, deficiencies in the system, or the person who was recruiting was biased or something like that, means because of any reason if you hire the wrong person, or you can say the unsuitable person, then organization may going to face severe consequences of it. So what will happen? You see, higher staff turnover. Since the right person is not hired, so people will start quitting the job because they are not the right person for this. So there may be the high staff turnover, high cost of advertisement. All the money that we see, it costs money when you are advertising, and when you are inviting the people and conducting interview, it consumed a lot of resources. One of the research shows that around $10,000 are spent for selection of a person on average, different companies, right? So it's a huge amount. So management time involves their time and is wasted. Expense of dismissal, we fire them, and then you see then we have to hire another person. So during that, the person might have caused a lot of damages to the organization. Negative effect of this high turnover on overall morale and motivation of the employees who are working there. You see what people thinking, that in this organization usually people are leaving the jobs very quickly, so means there is something wrong with the organization, you see. So this can be one of the major effect of the hiring a wrong person, right? Similarly, reduced quality of organization products services, since he was not competent, he was not qualified enough, or he was not having the relevant skills, whatever the reasons were. So the effect will be on the production and the customer satisfaction. So this will be a negative impact on all these sides. So it is very important to select the right person for the right job. So recruitment process and selection process has a very key importance in the organization, right? Okay, the economic situation in a country may have marked effect on the ability of an organization to attract suitable candidate. Is this statement true? Yes, it is true, right? It's very simple that economic situation of the country has an impact on the ability. See, the one word may, so may is a very important. If it was for surely, so then, or always, then it might not be a true statement. So you see, I always keep on telling you, read the sentence very carefully. When economic situation is good, means there is more educated people, more qualified, more skilled, so you can easily get the right person, right? But if the situation is vice versa, so then it is difficult for you to hire the right person. So it is a fact. So here is the recruitment and selection process. As I explained earlier, recruitment process start from agreeing on vacancy, that we really do need to hire a person for this vacancy, and then we are preparing a job analysis, and job analysis consists of job description and job specification, or it's also called as person specification, and then we advertise it to attract the candidate. So once the candidates are attracted, means we received the application. So now we have the forms, we have designed the forms for selection, and after the shortlisting of the applicants, we conduct interview and tests, and we ask them to provide references. Now some organization may ask and some may not ask, but it's one of the process of selection process, and then we may hire. So now we are going to discuss that these all parts of the processes in detail one by one. So recruitment process starts with agreeing on vacancy. Agreeing on a vacancy means that, let's suppose a person left the organization, so now there is a vacant position in that organization. Now here arises a question for the organization, that should we hire the person, should we really need to hire a person for this post, or we may replace it with the existing people as well, right? So when a person leaves, it presents an opportunity to the business to either reassess the requirement of the job, right, or to consider restructuring and analyzing the role in more detail. So if a person is leaving, so we may need to figure out that whether the person left because of his own personal reason, or there was something wrong with the job description, environment, system, or whatever. So we reassess the requirement, or the time might have been changed, new software, new skills might be required for that job, right? So there are a lot of things that should come to the mind of the HR manager, that how and what should be done. So furthermore, they can think about that we will not replace the employee. Could the vacant role be handled by the existing staff? Since you might be thinking that we are already overstaffed, so if this person left, so we can distribute his work on the others, so and workload, or we can promote Mr. A instead of B to replace that Mr. X, right? So in this case, this might be one of the way. Other is replacing the employee with the part-time worker. That person who left, the person might not was so you can say important, so we can ask someone else to come for a few hours and do his jobs, or so means you have to what the point is, basically the point is that you should reassess, do we really need to hire another person on a full time basis, or no, we can hire it a part time worker, or even we don't need to hire and we can ask the existing person to work for it. So alternative full time employment include home working, job sharing, flexi time, anything you can, if you have to think, if we can use any of this option, that might be more effective, so we will not go for hiring a new person. So first we need to agree on the vacancy. Once it's agreed, so what we'll do, we'll study detailed study on job description. Job description means what? As the name clarifies, we describe the job, what kind of activities will be performed by the person who is going to be appointed for this job. So it's a typical job description will tend to include what is the title, what is the purpose of the job, position of the job in relation to others in company, difficulties are, what are the difficulties involved in the job, what are the principal duties, what the person is supposed to do, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, like let's suppose if it's a teacher, so the teacher is supposed to make the paper, teacher is supposed to deliver the lecture, teacher is supposed to do this, right? So everything must be mentioned objectively that are required for that job, and working condition, physical environment, etc., right? So job, we have agreed on the vacancy, and now we have prepared the job description, so that when we will advertise, so people can easily see and they can see that whether we match this description, my expertise, knowledge, and whatever they did, that does match with it or not, right? Sorry. Job description has several main purposes. They form on the basis for advertisement. So in advertisement we cannot say we need finance manager and that's it, this is the address, email your CVs and that's it. No, we need to tell the people, right, so that we can have the prospective candidates. They can be used to help us select the right candidate. So if a person is applying without you can say matching the his requirement, so even in interview we will see that whatever was required, this person does have or does not have those can perform or cannot perform those skills, right, duties. They are often used on the basis of writing a contract when a person will be hired later on. So we can form the contract, and contract it will be mentioned, you will the candidate is supposed to do this, right, and they can be used as a way of setting targets. So later on your performance can also be measured when you are hired, because you are supposed to do these 5 things and whether you have done it or not. Next is person specification. First we discussed what responsibilities a person will perform, and now we say what specific skills and education, etc., a person must have to perform those duties. Clear? First was what the person will do, and now person specification, what a person should have in terms of education, skill, knowledge, except you can say expertise, etc., so that he or she is able to do or perform those jobs. So we also need to specify person specification. If you have ever seen the ad, so you will see all these things, that a person must be an MBA or ACCA, or he or she must have that number of years of experience in that relevant field, etc., etc., right? So Alec Roger has pointed out 7 points. So special aptitude, circumstances, interests, physical makeup, disposition, attainment, and general intelligence. So here is the acronym SCIPDAG. Special aptitude means what skills and abilities should a candidate have. Like if it's typing, so manual dexterity. If it's like it may need communication skill, skill with words and numbers. If it's a finance or accounting job, so they must know bookkeeping, etc., etc. Circumstances, does the job have any special demands, like such as requirement to work unsociable hours, right? Some jobs are having such a nature that they need too much mingling of the people, right, like marketing and customer care. And some jobs are just opposite to, like making they are performed in only loneliness. So you may not have other people to work with you, so some intelligence, or you can say coding, etc., right? So so you have to mention that what type of person, what type of skill a person must have for this job. Interest is a person is active or social in their personal life, so like kind of a marketing job, so we may need a person who is more social. Or if we are hiring a person for customer care, so we will not go for an introvert kind of person, so you can mention this in your ad, right? So a job like a finance, or you can say that we may need a conscientious kind of person who is very good at logical and playing with the numbers, right? Physical makeup, some jobs do need a personal appropriate personal appearance, right? So if you are a teacher or a lawyer, so your appearance does matter a lot, right? And similarly, if you are a marketing person or business development manager, so your appearance does matter a lot. But if you are working in house, so you that may not be that much important. So anyway, physical appearance, disposition, what sort of nature should the ideal candidate have? Do they need to be social, calm in the crisis? Some jobs are performed under pressure, right? So if you have ever seen the advertisement, so it is mentioned can handle the pressure or can work under the stress. So some jobs, the nature of some jobs are that there is always a stress, so they want to see that whether a person can handle the stress and crisis, and he or she may remains calm in those situations. Similarly, attainment, does an ideal candidate need to need any specific qualification, right? Sometimes they say the person must have that kind of visa or English proficiency, or you can say the person may have that kind of physical strength or whatever. So again it needs again it depends on the nature of the job. And general intelligence, overall intelligence, that the candidate must be average or above average to be successful. Like in, you see in I have heard that in various forces, armed forces, they may not hire very super intelligent person, because the structure they are having, that may not suit to that person, right? So again it vary from job to job. So anyway, first, job description is all about what job is, and person specification, what kind of person do we need. So these are the 7 characteristics. Once we have designed, then is the next step is to attract candidate. Now here again we have to make a decision, should we hire a person from the market, means for external hiring, or can we use our internal resources to hire a person, means can we promote within a department, within an organization, and can have a person, right? So the it involves persuading the relevant candidate to apply for the role of now we are going to attract, right? The organization also has to decide whether to recruit externally or use an existing member of the staff. So both methods are used, both have their own advantages and disadvantages. So you better go through it in books. In your book there are a lot of details are mentioned, so I'll just tell you a few things. It's very simple and easy. Like in external, you may have people who are more qualified, more talented, etc., and then the internal. And what are the benefit of internal? But what are the drawbacks of external? That the new person may not know the culture of organization, the norms, the values, the systems, so he or she may takes time, while internal person also know the mechanics of the organization culture. He is well aware, and we being an employer know him very well. So these are the advantages, but we may lose that talent which we may have in from the market as well, right? So anyway, so you have to decide whether you should go for internal hiring or external hiring. So if the business decide to recruit externally, then they have to see where to find the suitable candidates. Two issues: from where we can get it, and how to advertise. How to advertise means, should we use newspaper, should we use the television, or what, right, to attract the relevant candidate. So basic purpose is to attract the relevant person and the most suitable person. So what are the potential sources of attracting candidates? Employment service job centers and agencies, we have a lot of agencies within a country, so you can consult them. They have the pool of candidates. Private recruitment consultants, they can also be used for this purpose. Career advisory offices, universities, colleges and general public. So means you can consult, you can take a benefit of any of these agencies or offices. You can ask them, request them that we need such and such kind of person who can perform such and such office. So they have the pool of candidates, so they can do shortlisting for you and they will suggest you let's suppose 5, 6, 10 people. So out of those you can easily select instead of receiving hundreds of application and then shortlisting. Okay, the objective of the recruitment, so potential sources of attracting candidates. So objective of the recruitment advertisement is to attract the interest of suitable candidates. So now the point is how to make a attractive ad so that right person is attracted. So your ad must be concise, comprehensive, to be an accurate description of the job. Means don't mention too many details, but don't miss the important detail as well, right? So that the person who reads it and they can easily understand, right? So what are the requirements and what are the rewards? To be attractive as many as people possible. So ad should not be designed in such a way that by just by looking at it, some people or especially the qualified people can see, can easily they can perceive that look at the ad, so that shows the level of the company's reputation as well. Forget about it, right? So you may lose the right talent for it. So make an attractive ad. Be positive and honest. Don't exaggerate. Include information on how to apply, means mentioning whether you can apply online or email address or by mail or whatever, right? Including the deadlines, right? So don't, sometimes you even don't see it's mentioned just apply within the 15 days of this advertisement. So sometimes we may see ad later on and we don't know that when this ad was published. So don't mention such kind of things, right? Specifically mention 21st May 2019, right? For example, this is the last date. Okay, so next is that was how to make an ad, and now the next is that which medium is most suitable. Should we use newspaper, TV, magazines, boards, whatever, right? So there is no right and wrong answer. So there is no correct advertisement medium, but there are certain reasons, certain factors in fact, which will determine that which ad is which medium is more suitable. First is, what is the type of organization, the type of job being advertised. If the you can say organization is big and there's very like GM level ad is required, so then you can have different medium. And if you just need a labor or salesman, so then you need a different level of medium, right? What is the readership and circulation of medium, means the newspaper or the magazine that we have used, how much it is being circulated and how many people will it reach, right? The most important factor, what will be the cost? If you advertise on newspaper, what will be the cost? If you advertise on internet, what will be the cost and what will be the effectiveness, right? So national newspaper will usually cost you more than the local newspaper. And frequency and duration of the ads, for how long you want to show this ad, for continuous 5 days or just for 1 days or whatever, right? So what are the sources? National press means national newspaper. What are the benefit? They have good coverage, advertisement but expensive and short lived, right? Because too many things are there in national newspaper. Local newspaper useful for local staff and cheaper than the national, but may not attract sufficiently qualified people, because local newspaper reach to only few people, means certain number of people, right? Internet is good as long as target people are frequent internet users. Like if let's suppose you now you face through Facebook and the social media, you can directly target your niche market, right? You can even also advertise on radio and television, and there are such special journals, magazines you can also use. Means it's depend that you can choose any of them depending upon the nature of the job and the size of the company and the nature of the person required for it, right? Okay, once we have advertise it, now the next is we are going to see the lot of applications, right. So the first and easiest way of filtering out less suitable applicants is through the use of application form. So now you can design an application form, and with the help of that application form you can easily filter out. Like let's suppose one of the heading you can give, the caption you can give, that the person must have ACCA degree, right, or affiliate member. So all those people who do not have this, so you can easily filter them out. So just by looking at this heading, if a person is ACCA, you can shortlist them, and if the person is not, so you can easily drop him out, right. So it's an easiest way to design a application form. Don't just ask for CVs, but have a online form, or even you can have a hard form that they you can upload a form and they can download and print it and fill it and can send it back to you, right. So in any case it will help you. So what that will help you, it will eliminate the unsatisfactory applicants. It will save the time at that of when you will conduct the interview. Instead of conducting 1000 interviews, if you conduct 10 interviews or 15 interviews, so it save hell lot of time, right. And form initial personnel record and per successful candidate. So it will also form a personnel records as well, right, those who are successful candidate. Once we have shortlisted out of 1000 or hundreds of applicants, now we have through the forms and we have shortlisted number of people. Now we have selected few people, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, right. So once the least appropriate candidate have been rejected using the application form, the remaining applicant can be called for interview. So it's a simple process. You see, I told you it's all the process. Even you might have gone through these processes, right. You might have applied and you might have been shortlisted and then you might have been called for interview. So what is the purpose of interview? It's very simple and obvious. Find the best person, ensure that the candidate understand what the job is and what are the career prospects in, and make the candidate feel that they have been treated fairly. So the basic purpose of the job is this, the first one, find the best person, right. This is the major prime you can say purpose of the interview, is to get the right person amongst all, right. How can you have the interviews? There are a number of types of interviews, and again I would say that some of them you might have experiences. One is face to face, one by one. You just go and the people they are sitting there and you can have the interview. Group interview, sometimes we have group interview like 2, 3, 4, 5 peoples. They are asked together to come at once, and then they give you some different types of questions and they do different activities just to see who is doing what, how they are performing in teams, right. So there is number of reasons for the group interview. Then we have succession interview. Means succession interviews means you may have 2, 3 interviews, right. One with the line manager, then with the you can say HR manager, and then finally with the top executive or whatever, right. Similarly, problem solving interviews type, candidate are asked to solve different hypothetical problem. If a job is having such a nature that where we need a person who can practically solve the problems and we want to see his problem solving skills, so then you can have this interview. Panel interview means interview by group of people. Sometimes if you have ever experienced that, you enter into the room and there are 5, 6 people sitting, 10 people sitting, and of different expertise. HR, one is from HR, one is from psychology, one is psychologist, one is from your field, and other persons are from different managerial level. So they are asking different questions just to analyze you at once, right. And sometimes they put you in certain stress intentionally to see how you react in the stress. Can you handle the pressure? So these are some of the tips and techniques, and these are some of the types of interview. In fact, the main purpose is to select it. What are the advantages? It's very simple. Place candidate at ease, highly interactive, opportunities to the non-verbal communication. They will see your non-verbal communication, because in the test non-verbal communication is not visible. Opportunity to assess appearance and interpersonal communication skills, and how you are building your rapport between the with the people. They are also see. What are the disadvantages? it's too brief to get to know. Within 10 to 15 minutes, usually the time of interview is 10-15 minutes maximum, right, usually. So how could you assess a person in this short time, right? It's a kind of an artificial situation. So a candidate may, you can say, pretend so many things. Hollow effect. Hollow means just from one hollow effect means that with on just by looking at one characteristic you are making a perception about that person. So it may be right or wrong, right? Qualitative factors like motivation, honesty, integrity cannot be assessed within few minutes. And sometimes there are prejudices like stereotyping, like if he is like black or white or Mexican or Asian or like whatever. So just based on that, so they are making it. So lack of interviewer preparations, training and practice. Sometimes interviewer is not prepared, and subjectivity and personal biases, the interviewer biases. So these are some of the disadvantages, but still interview is one of the best way to select the person, right? He has been asked to attend the job interview. He has been told that he will be interviewed by the finance director first and then followed by HR director. So what is doing? Group? It's not group, it's panel. Even it's not panel, right? Stress, there is not mention anything stress. It's a succession. Mean first interviewed by this is your we can say area expert, and then your HR director. So it's succession interview. Selecting the testing. So there are various types of tests as I explained. So two are more very common. One is called as proficiency and attainment test, right? So we mentioned earlier the interviews, not the test. Sometimes tests are taken before interview and sometimes tests are taken after interview as well, right? So mostly it is before interview as well. So what we do, so these are used to examine the applicant's competency, skills and abilities. So let's suppose if you are applying for an accounting job, so you may be given a test to make the trial balance, accounting, different types of accounting. In bookkeeping, questions might be asked, and we may need reporting skills, communication skills. So that test will be assessing all these things. Such is called as proficiency and attainment test. It's purely related to the competencies, skills, knowledge, etc., which are required for the job. Second type of test are psychometric. They are more related to psychological factors. What are your intelligence level, aptitude, personality, how you think, what are your approaches, are you introvert or extrovert kind of person, are you optimist or pessimist kind of person, right? So just to judge your personality, basically what kind of person you are. So sometimes psychometric testing is also conducted. Here some other types of tests are mentioned. Intelligence test, measuring your general intelligence ability. Aptitude, your physical dexterities. Medical examination, they want, sometimes organization asks for medical clearance and medical test reports, like they want to see whether or not you have any kind of physical illness or health problem. So in some organization that is mandatory. So there also a kind of a psychological, as I mentioned, to know your personality characteristics. Psychometric, assessing your thinking and thinking process of the person, what kind of person you are, like negative or positive, optimist or pessimist, etc., right? And whether this job suits you or not. Like for example, a job is for marketing, and through psychometric testing we assess that you are an introvert kind of person. So means even though you might be very talented, you might have all those other skills and knowledge and expertise, but you may not be hired just because the type of person you are does not suit with this career profession. And proficiency test, measuring the ability to do the work, how experienced you are and how much you know about the job. So you see, these are the different types of tests which help the organization to select the right person. Similarly, we have assessments, group assessments and assessment centers. They are involved, assessment center involve candidate being observed and evaluated by the trained assessor. So sometimes we have trained assessor. Assessor means the one who assess the candidate, right? So in a given selection of pre-programmed exercise trial, so then we have various types of tools for it. So these trained assessor will assess you through involving you in different games, or they may ask you for presentations just to see your body language, your confidence level, your hand movement, non-verbal communication, right? Similarly, they develop some different types of questionnaire. They can ask you to fill that questionnaire. They can have written test, role plays. Different jobs do need a role, like if you are hired for some conflict as a negotiation manager, right? Or one of your skill that is required for your job is negotiation, having good negotiation skills. So they can create a kind of a situation and where there is a conflict and you are asked to play a role for as a negotiator or mediator. So how you are going to do it, right? Similarly, self-appraisal forms and simulations. Simulations are artificial situation created so that you can how you are going to act if real situation in a real situation, right? So it's a kind of a artificial situation, but it's kind of a real, right? And you have to take it as real and perform it, like the way you see in forces they are having these kind of exercises, war exercises. So practically they one out of you can say armed forces, one team becomes an enemy and one becomes a patriotic, and then they are attacking each other, and so that's all real. Basically it's all simulations, but they are doing it as if what if it happens in real sense, right? So similarly in organizations, corporate world, they also create these kind of simulation games or simulation situations, how you are going to act it. So in short, assessors will be looking for the evidence that candidate have certain abilities that are important for the job or not. So basic point is to assess and get the right person. So basic purpose is the one which I explained in the beginning. We want to have the right person, because if we are unable to get the right person, what will happen? Then it will create a lot of problems, as I mentioned in the earlier. High turnover and loss of productivity and customer dissatisfaction, and you see degrading, or you can down you can say putting down the morale of the others, etc. So that is, as it's since this whole process cost a lot, so we don't want to do this process every day to have a new person and then terminate them or fire them and then have a new person. So to avoid all that exercises, we are doing that much care. And finally we ask for the references. So the purpose of the reference is to confirm the facts about the candidate. Like if you again I would say that you would have seen this in advertisement, that you are asked to provide different kind of references. Sometimes they ask you to provide one professional and one personal reference, so it is mandatory for your selection process. So the purpose of this is so that we can confirm and the fact about you, right? Like let's suppose you have mentioned I have 10 years of experience and I have this skill and that skill, etc., and then you are also mentioning your ex-boss as your reference. So the company may call your ex-boss and can ask what kind of person you are and how are you performing and what was your role and etc., and they will tell you whether you whatever you mentioned in the application was correct or incorrect. So even in shortlisting they will ask, and they can or even after the interview they may ask they may ask the references that you have provided about you, and then you may be disqualified if you have given any wrong information. So be honest and give the right information. So reference should contain two types of information: straightforward factual information confirming the nature of the applicant's previous job, period of employment, pay, as I explained earlier, right? So you say I have taken I was getting that much salary in my previous, when at the time of negotiation of interview, when they ask you, okay, how much salary are you expecting, and you say, oh, since I was getting that much amount in my previous job, so I want that much raise in current. So they may ask your previous employer, so whether the claim that you have made is right or wrong. So again I would advise you, so be honest and tell the right situation. Opinion about the implicates personality and other attributes. So they may ask, as I mentioned, they may ask about you from your references, that what kind of person you are: honest, hard worker, dedicated, corrupt, legal, you can say obedient, or creative, problem solver or problem creator. You see what kind of person you are, so they can know about you. And through these they are open to the bias and should therefore be treated with the caution. So many organizations ask for a minimum 2 references, including past employer and as well as personal reference. So past employer, and even one of the condition mentioned in the past employer, it is mentioned, can we call your past employer? So if you check yes, so then they will definitely call. If you don't check yes, so then they may think that now if you don't want them to call, so this means that there is something wrong. So be careful in it, right? It's a technical, it's a tip. Who is doing for recruitment and selection? It's very simple, usually senior management, HR department and line manager. So these 3 types of people are usually involved in interview and in recruitment and selection process. Why line manager? Because this is a person who will be interacting with you directly. See, so it's most likely to be prospective manager for more junior candidate, right? So let's suppose if you are hired as a junior level, so your supervisor must be involved, so that because he is the one or she is the one who are responsible to take work from you. See the definition of the management, getting things done from the or by the people or through the people, right? So in smaller business they may have sole responsibility for selection. Even in smaller business, senior manager may not be involved in it, and that line manager is responsible to hire you. HR, obviously one of the main function of the HR is to hire and the right person for the right job. So they may take over a responsibility for recruitment, designing the job advertisement and designing the job description, designing the job specification, person specification, and then designing the methods for selection, like what kind of interview, which type of test, and what kind of person is required, etc. And sometimes senior management tend to be responsible for identifying the overall need of the organization. Like we need a person who is sharp, this is a kind of or intelligent or creative, and the rest minor details are then decided by the line manager or the HR department. So usually it is done for the senior positions as well, right? Especially from within and outside the organization, both. So these are the people who are involved in recruitment and selection. Another important term is equal opportunity employer or equal opportunity. Equal opportunity simply means that this position is open for all types of people, irrespective of religion, irrespective of ethnicity, irrespective of disability, irrespective of minority, or etc., etc., right? So equal opportunity refer to the belief that there should be an equal chance for all the workers to apply and to be selected for the jobs and to be trained and promoted in the employment. This is called equal opportunity, you see. So if whenever you see this statement in advertisement, normally in UN ads it is mentioned, we are an equal opportunity employer. So means we are not concerned which religion do you belong, which area do you belong, which what ethnicity, what ethnic group do you belong, and whether you are male or female or a transgender or any kind of sexual orientation. We are not interested in any of it. We are interested in your skills, abilities, knowledge, or all the requirements that are required for this job, right? So this is the meaning of equal opportunity. So two main principles: employer should only discriminate according to the ability and experience. Discrimination is based on ability. If a person is more able, so he or she may be given a preference over the other. So this discrimination means if out of 5 person one is more talented, so that person must be treated differently, may be given more promotion, more incentive, more chance for success. So this is the discrimination which is the right discrimination, right? Because this is all about the ability, experience and the potential. Second, all the employment decisions should be based solely on a person's ability to do the job in a question, and no consideration is taken based on gender, age, religion, race, origin, sexuality, disability, or marital status, sexual orientation, etc., whatever, right? So the same thing I mentioned earlier, we will not look for any of these things, rather we will look for this thing: ability, experience and potential. This is the meaning of equal opportunity. Why we are adopting it means why the organization adopt it. It's very simple. It's morally wrong to treat the people, some people as inferior or some people as inadequate, right, just because of their religion, age or whatever. Organizations do not benefit from excluding any potential source. Maybe you might exclude someone based on the religion or ethnicity, and that person might be more talented than the one you hired. Similarly, countries now, and what other reasons are? Now there are legislations to prevent discrimination. So there are various types of legislations which will prevent the discrimination. So the government means organization have to follow the equal opportunity policy, right. Organization will be able to improve its image by good employer, and similarly then it will have their image that this organization does not believe in these kind of discrimination, rather it believe in talent, it believe in abilities, it believe in the merit, right. So it will have a good image. So these are the reasons. One is by law you are required, other is it's morally you will be feeling good if you apply it, and if you will be considered morally wrong if you don't do it. Secondly, you may not benefit, you may get benefit by getting the right person, and if you don't go for equal opportunity, so you may not get the benefit of that right person, right, and then your image will also improve. Types of discrimination: direct, indirect and victimization. It's simple as we explained earlier. Direct discrimination is due to the gender and the race, etc. If an employer treats based on these things, so that is direct discrimination. Indirect discrimination is designing the job description in such a way that it hit other person. Like for example, one of the interesting example is given that you are asking, we need a person with a clean shave. Now there are some religion which believes in beard, right, so then they might feel discriminated, right, so you should not have these kinds, so they might be a disadvantageous group. So you see, when a working condition or rules disadvantage to one group of the people and more than the other. And third is victimization, when someone make a complaint and you are trying to discriminate, you are trying to treat him a different way, so now you are that person is become a victim, right. So means an employer treating an employee less favorable because they made or tried to make complaint about discrimination. Which the following is not an example of indirect discrimination? Asking in interview whether the candidate was planning to have family in the near future. Advertising for job vacancies exclusively in magazine predominantly by men. By men, so it is out, right, simple. Job in specifying in a job advertisement that only people under the age 30, again under the age 30 should apply, right, and giving less favorable terms to part-time workers who are predominantly women. So we see asking interviews whether the candidate was planning to have a family. It's, you see, which one is not an example of indirect discrimination? There are various indirect discriminations, but there is not the indirect discrimination. What we can see exclusively in magazine predominantly read by men. The legal position: employment legislations vary significantly from country to country, but typically prevent discrimination in various areas. So it's again we discussed little earlier. So selection of the candidates who interview or employ, provision, promotion, training and other benefits, working condition, dismissal or other disadvantages. So legal position means this the law which prevents these areas, right, that's it must not hit the selection process, it must not hit the promotional process, it must not hit the condition, means some people are having good working condition and other may not have, and dismissals, etc., right. A person is dismissed based on their any we can say ethnicity or sexual orientation or gender or whatever, right. So now government have made laws, so again it's different, it vary from country to country. In UK it's all about age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage, civil partnership, pregnancy, maternity, race, religion, belief, etc., and sexual orientation. So these are the things, means it outlaws a discrimination based on these things. And finally, diversity. Last is, what is diversity? It seems similar to equal opportunity, and but it has a little difference between the difference and then it is little different from the equal opportunity, because it involves valuing all the individual for their differences and variety. Equal opportunity means everyone can apply if the person is meeting the basic requirement irrespective of their color, race, etc., right? What is diversity? Diversity means we recognize and appreciate the difference among the people, and because the more the different the people are, the more they will be creative and the more they will be good for organization. So organization embrace people from different genders. Now they are encouraging that we must have different genders, different races, different sexual orientation, different localities, different religion, because this will help us, and they appreciate the difference in the employees and attitudes. So the more you are different, you see, different gender means different attitudes, different working habits, different personalities, different experience. So now organization have a diverse level of knowledge, attitude, experience, personalities, which will be good for the organization in the long run. So that means now if an organization go for diversity, so it's a kind of a step further to the equal opportunity employer. So what is the difference? Equal opportunity mean normally it is government initiated, it's by law, and quantitative, like we have 5 males and so you must have 5 females, for example. Problem focused, so some problems we may hire specific kind of person. Targeted and reactive approach. Diversity is voluntarily, organization voluntarily go for this, right? It's productivity driven, it's qualitative, more personalities, you see, more attitudes, opportunity focused and inclusive of all the people, and it's a proactive. In advance we are going for diversity. And the major issue comes in that the more diverse people are, the more will be there, that the more are the chances for the different types of problem we are going to face. So once organization committed to diversity in workforce, it will need to proactively monitor and manage the needs of its workforce. Different religion, now more problems are expected. Different genders, more problems are expected. So on one hand more talent is expected, on the other hand more problems are also expected. So good monitoring system is also required. Tolerance, they must be given training on the tolerance, that you must have a tolerance level to tolerate people who are different from you. Effective communication, managing workers, family structures, you see, managing the adjustments with increasingly aged workforce, increasingly diverse career aspirations, and confronting issues, literacy, numeracy and differences. Means in short, variety of the problems are there. So the more better the monitoring system you have, the better fruits you can get from diversity. Otherwise this diversity can be a problem for the organization as well, right? Every now and then you will be having different types of problems, some religious, some ethnic, some approach wise, gender wise. So then these will be problem for you. So though you need to devise better monitoring system. So that was all about the system. We discussed recruitment process, right, and then we discussed the selection process, and then we said that how it works on, right? So in short, recruitment means how to attract more and more people, and selection means then all those people who are attracted, selecting the right person out of those is the selection. So I hope this is very simple and easy and you got the concept. Please do read the books, do have some search on nets, and have some extra reading habit, right? You have the study text material, so go through it and you will find some more details. So I am trying to explain all the major concept as possible, as easy, right? So hope you got the concept. Take care, see you next time, goodbye.